The air in the grand chamber of the Viral Empire felt cold, heavy, and full of judgment. Thousands of alien eyes glowed from the stands above. They had gathered to witness what they believed would be a humiliation, the punishment of the captured human female. To the Viral, scars were marks of shame. To have them displayed was an eternal reminder of weakness and failure. The human, Commander Arya Cole, stood in the center of the arena, wrists bound by energy cuffs. Her face was bruised, but her eyes were alive, bright with defiance. Around her, alien guards hissed with amusement. The massive room smelled of burning metal and strange flowers that only grew on this cold world. At the far end, the alien queen, a towering being of grace and terror, sat on a throne of silver vines. Her name was Queen Savara, ruler of the Viral Dominion. Her scales shimmered like glass under moonlight, but her face carried deep scars, 4 long marks across her left cheek, another slashing across her collarbone, and one over her heart. Each scar was old and healed, but the aliens still looked at them with disgust. To the Viral, a queen with scars was a broken monarch. To Arya, they looked like medals of survival. "Human," the queen spoke, her voice deep and echoing. "You came with your kind. You burned our ships. You thought you could stand against the Viral Empire." The crowd roared, mocking the small figure in the center. Arya didn't move, her eyes locked with the queen's. "I didn't think," she said quietly. "I knew." The translator drones clicked and repeated her words in the Viral tongue. A wave of laughter followed. Queen Savara tilted her head. "Brave words for a creature who bleeds so easily. Tell me, Commander, do you understand pain?" Arya smiled faintly. "More than you think." The guard stepped forward, pushing her to her knees. The queen stood up from her throne and descended the steps slowly, her long tail swaying behind her. The hall went silent. "She will learn pain," the queen said, "and through pain, she will understand weakness." A metallic platform rose from the floor, a device of Viral design, meant to break the will of prisoners. Arya was placed upon it. Energy coils hummed around her, glowing blue. As the machine powered on, Arya clenched her fists. Her heart pounded, but she refused to cry out. The current flowed through her body, sharp, burning pain like fire under her skin. Still, she remained silent. The aliens in the stands began to laugh. "Humans are soft," one shouted. "They break easy." Another hissed, but she didn't break. When the machine stopped, she was breathing hard, smoke rising from her uniform. Her vision blurred, but she looked up and then smiled. "That all you got?" The queen stared at her, shocked. "Why do you not scream?" "Because," Arya said through her dry throat, "pain isn't weakness. It's memory." A murmur spread through the crowd. Even the guards exchanged glances. Queen Savara stepped closer, studying the human carefully. "You wear no scars. You fought, yet your skin is untouched. Do you fear them?" Arya looked at the queen's face, the marks that everyone mocked. Slowly, painfully, she rose to her feet. "No," she said softly. "I respect them." The queen's eyes narrowed. "Respect?" Arya nodded. "Where I come from, scars don't mean you failed. They mean you survived. They mean you kept standing when others fell." For the first time, the vast chamber went completely silent. The laughter died. Queen Savara's tail froze mid-air. She looked down at the human, this fragile creature who stood in defiance of an empire. "You dare speak to me like this?" "Yes," Arya said simply. "Because you've earned those scars. You've seen battle. You've lost people. You've been betrayed. You understand what pain really means." "But they—" She looked around at the laughing crowd. "They don't. They mock what they don't understand." The queen's throat trembled with a low growl. The guards raised their weapons, but she stopped them with a wave of her clawed hand. "Let her speak," the queen commanded. Arya took a step forward. "You asked if I know pain. I do. I've seen my friends die. I've seen cities burn. I've carried the weight of failure on my back. But do you know what humans do when it hurts?" The queen didn't answer. Arya took another step, her shackles glowing faintly. "We stand up. We don't laugh at pain. We learn from it, we wear it. We remember it." The queen's breath grew heavier. Something flickered in her eyes. Memory. Maybe regret. And then, in a slow, unexpected gesture, Arya stepped forward, right up to the queen. The guards hissed, weapons ready. But the queen did not move. Arya looked at the deepest scar, the one across the queen's cheek. Then softly, she leaned forward and pressed her lips against it. Gasps filled the room. Every alien in the hall froze in disbelief. The human had just done something unthinkable. She had kissed the queen's scars. When Arya stepped back, she met the queen's shocked eyes. "Where I come from," she said quietly, "we honor those who survive, not those who laugh at them." The queen didn't speak. The silence that followed was thick and uneasy. Some in the crowd looked away, others hissed angrily. The queen finally broke the silence. "Why would you do this?" "Because," Arya said, voice soft but strong. "Pain shared is not weakness. It's connection. You think I'm your enemy, but maybe we've both been fighting the wrong war." For a moment, the queen just stood there, breathing deeply. The alien laughter from earlier echoed in the silence, but now it sounded hollow. The queen turned her gaze toward the watching aliens. "Leave us," she commanded. Her voice shook slightly, but her tone allowed no argument. The guards hesitated, confused, but obeyed. The crowd began to disperse, whispering in disbelief. When the room finally emptied, only Arya and Queen Savara remained. "You risked your life," the queen said softly. "You insulted my people's pride," Arya smiled faintly. "Maybe pride's what's been killing both our worlds." The queen studied her for a long time. "You speak like a leader. I speak like someone who's tired of endless pain." Queen Savara's claws brushed lightly over her cheek, tracing the scar the human had kissed. "No one ever dared touch these marks," she whispered. "Not even my own kind." "Then maybe it's time someone did," Arya said. For a long moment, the alien queen said nothing. Then she turned away and looked up at the dark ceiling where stars glimmered faintly through the transparent dome. "You might be different, human," she murmured. "You might be the first to understand." Arya took a deep breath, her voice soft but unshaken. "Then maybe there's still hope, for both of us." The queen's tail flicked once, thoughtful. "Hope," she repeated, as if tasting the word for the first time. "A strange weapon, human. Let us see how strong it truly is." Queen Savara stood still, her long claws tracing the scar the human had kissed. The touch burned in her mind, not from pain, but from something unfamiliar, a warmth she had not felt in years. Commander Arya Cole remained where she stood, still cuffed, still bruised, yet somehow victorious. The human had not used weapons or force. She had used respect, and that act had shaken the very foundation of the virile court. Finally, the queen spoke. "You are either the bravest creature I have ever met or the most foolish." Arya smiled faintly. "Maybe both." Savara turned, her golden eyes glowing softly. "Do you understand what you've done, human? You challenged centuries of virile pride. You showed compassion where we show control. My council will call it weakness." Arya looked up at her. "Maybe it's time someone taught them what real strength looks like." For a long time, neither spoke. The hum of alien machinery filled the background, steady, mechanical, cold. Then, with a slow movement, the queen stepped closer and deactivated Arya's energy cuffs. The glowing rings fell from her wrists with a soft hiss. "You are free. For now," Savara said. "But freedom among the Varel is dangerous." Arya rubbed her wrists and nodded. "I've lived through dangerous before." The rumors spread by the next day. Word had already spread through the virile capital. The human touched the queen. The human defied pain. The queen did not punish her. Whispers filled every corridor, every market, every barracks. Soldiers argued about it. Scholars tried to explain it. The High Council called it treason. And deep beneath the royal palace, in a dark, circular room, the council gathered. 10 alien figures, tall and scaled, stood around a glowing table. Their leader, High Chancellor Vren, struck his claw on the table. She made contact with a human. He hissed, "In public, before the entire court." "She let it live," another growled. "A human, the same species that destroyed our fleets at Tryon Gate." The council's voices mixed into angry noise. "She dishonors the throne." "The people will lose faith." "The queen is weak." Only one voice remained calm, an old Varel scholar named Tareth, whose scales had turned silver with age. He spoke quietly. "Perhaps she has seen something we have not." The human did not attack. She did not beg. She showed empathy. Vren slammed his hand on the table again. "Empathy is for prey." But deep inside, even the Chancellor could not erase the image. A fragile human standing unbroken before their mighty queen. A queen in doubt that night. Savara stood on her balcony overlooking the endless city of the Varel. The towers glowed like crystals stretching into the dark sky. The stars above reminded her of the war. The battles fought, the blood spilled, the scars earned, and now, one human's act had made her question everything. Arya was kept under watch, but not in a cell. Instead, she was given a small chamber near the royal quarters, a gesture that shocked everyone. The queen visited her the next morning. Arya was standing near the window watching the alien sunrise. The sky shimmered with 3 suns, painting the horizon gold and blue. "It's beautiful," Arya said softly. "It's war-torn," the queen replied. "Every light you see hides a wound beneath it." Arya turned to her. "That's how all worlds are, Savara. The question is whether you keep fighting because you want peace or because you've forgotten how to stop." The queen studied her face. "Humans think peace is possible?" Arya smiled sadly. "We don't just think it. We keep trying for it, even when we fail." Svara tilted her head. "Strange species." "Maybe," Arya said. "But we don't stop hoping." The council's threat later that day, a messenger arrived. The council demanded an audience. The queen entered the chamber, her long tail coiling behind her like a serpent. High Chancellor Vren bowed only slightly. "Your Majesty," he began, "the council is troubled. You have allowed the human to live. You let her speak in defiance of our laws. The people whisper that you are changing." "I am changing," the queen said calmly, "because the war has changed us all. The human is a threat," Vren hissed. "She infects your mind with weakness." Svara's eyes glowed cold. "Weakness." She endured pain without a sound. She stood against an empire and did not break. "If that is weakness, then I wish all my soldiers were as weak as her." The council erupted in outrage. "Blasphemy. The human must be executed. The throne is at risk." The queen's tail struck the ground, cracking the floor. "Enough." The room fell silent. She leaned forward. "You fear her because she makes you feel small. But perhaps it is time the Vrel remembered humility." The council did not dare reply, but Vren's eyes narrowed with hidden anger. An unlikely alliance that evening, Savara visited Arya again. She looked tired. The glow of her scales dimmed slightly. "You have caused me much trouble, human," she said. Arya smiled gently. "Guess I'm good at that," the queen sighed. "My council threatens to remove me. They say I am weak because of you." "Then maybe they've already lost the war," Arya said softly. Savara blinked. "What do you mean?" "Because strength isn't about killing enemies," Arya explained. "It's about protecting what's worth living for. You've built an empire of fear, Savara. But fear doesn't last forever. One day your people will need hope." The queen looked at her for a long time. "And you think humans can give us that?" Arya shook her head. "No, you have to find it yourself. But maybe we can help you remember what it looks like." Savara felt something stir inside her chest, something she hadn't felt since before the wars. It wasn't weakness. It was truth. She turned away, her long tail curling around her feet. "The council will not allow this peace. They planned something. I can feel it." "Then let's stop them together," Arya said. The queen looked at her sharply. "Together?" "You said it yourself," Arya replied. "Pain connects us. So does purpose." For the first time in years, the queen let out a sound that might have been laughter, low and rough. "You are bold, human. I've been told that before." The first test of trust 3 nights later, the council made their move. The palace alarms blared through the city. Energy weapons fired in the distance. Vrel soldiers, loyal to Vren, stormed the upper halls. Arya woke to the sound of shouting. A guard burst into her room. "Commander!" "You must come." She grabbed the guard's weapon and ran toward the throne room. The corridors glowed red with emergency light. When she reached the main hall, Queen Savara was already there, surrounded by royal guards, standing tall despite the chaos. "Vren has turned the army," the queen said quickly. "They mean to take the throne." Arya looked around. "Then we hold it, together." The queen's golden eyes met hers. "Together," she agreed. Blaster fire echoed through the chamber. The first wave of rebels entered. Svara's tail swept across the floor, knocking them aside. Arya fired the alien weapon with sharp precision, covering the queen's flank. Despite their differences, and one human, one alien, and they fought as one, at one point, Arya saw the queen take a hit across her shoulder. Blue blood streaked her scales. The crowd would have called it shameful. But Arya moved fast, standing before her. "Stay back, Your Majesty," she said firmly. The Queen's voice rumbled. "I am no fragile creature." "I know," Arya said with a grin. "Just returning the favor." The Queen's eyes softened. Even in battle, there was respect between them now. The choice by dawn, the uprising was crushed. Vren was captured, his rebellion broken. But the cost was heavy. Many had died, and the Queen's palace was in ruins. As the sun rose, Sevara stood beside Arya on the balcony overlooking the smoking city. "Your people fight like fire," the Queen said. Arya smiled tiredly. "And yours endure like stone. Maybe that's why we both survive." The Queen looked down at her scars catching the morning light. "The Council will never forgive what I've done. But I will not undo it. I will not kill you, human. Instead, I will stand with you." Arya nodded. "Then we start something new." Sevara's gaze softened. "Perhaps this is what peace begins with. One act of respect and one shared scar." They stood together in silence, two leaders from different worlds, enemies yesterday, allies today. The dawn over the Virel capital was not calm. Smoke rose from the shattered barracks and distant fires painted the horizon with orange streaks. But amidst the destruction, a new hope had taken root. Commander Arya Cole and Queen Sevara stood together on the balcony, silent witnesses to a world that had been broken and was beginning to heal. The rebellion of High Chancellor Vren was crushed, but whispers of discontent still lingered. The council was fractured, but Arya knew that as long as Sevara stood firm, the people would follow her. And more importantly, the galaxy itself was changing. "Are we ready?" Arya asked softly. Sevara's golden eyes met hers, the scars across her face catching the light of the rising sun. "I don't know if we ever are, but we must try. For our people, for the future," Arya nodded. "Then let's begin." A message from the stars as the sun climbed higher. The palace received a message from deep space. A vessel appeared on long-range scanners and, enormous, unlike anything the Virel or humans had seen before. Its hull glowed with a strange purple light and its shape was jagged and alien. "The Galtharian," Sevara whispered. The name alone sent a shiver down Arya's spine. The Galtharian were a legendary species, rumored to be ruthless conquerors. Entire star systems had fallen before them. Arya clenched her fists. "They don't know who they're coming for." "They do now," Sevara said. "And they will not stop until everything we built is gone." The palace erupted into action. Alarms sounded. Ships launched. Soldiers gathered. And yet, amid the chaos, the Queen and the human prepared for something neither of them had faced before. A battle that could determine the fate of both their species. The bond of scars before boarding the flagship. Sevara turned to Arya. "I want you to know something," she said quietly. "Your courage, it has changed me. Not just as a ruler, but as a being. I have always led with fear. Today I see that fear is weaker than respect." Arya smiled. "And I've learned something too. Even in an empire built on power, one act of compassion can inspire thousands." Sevara stepped closer. "Then let us show them what that inspiration can do." Together they entered the command deck of the flagship, a mixture of Virel and human technology. Holographic star maps displayed the incoming Galtharian fleet, hundreds of massive warships moving with deadly precision. Arya's voice was steady. "They outnumber us, but they've never faced us together." Sevara's tail coiled behind her, her scales glinting. "Then we fight differently." The first strike, the human and the Queen coordinated their fleets. Humans relied on adaptability, speed, and clever tactics. The Virel were strong, disciplined, and precise. Where one failed, the other covered. Where one faltered, the other stood firm. The first wave of Galtharian ships attacked. Energy beams tore through space, but Arya anticipated their movements. She gave quick commands, rerouting human fighters to block vulnerable points. Sevara unleashed the Virel warships with precision strikes, obliterating the enemy's vanguard. Together, they were a force the Galtharian had never expected. In the heat of battle, one massive Galtharian warship broke through the defenses and aimed straight for the Virel capital. Arya shouted over the comms, "I'll take it down." Sevara's voice was firm. "You are not alone. I am with you." They launched in tandem, a human fighter beside a Virel dreadnought. The enemy ship's shields flared but coordinated attacks. Arya targeting weak points, Sevara smashing through armor with heavy fire, tore it apart. The vessel exploded, scattering debris into the void. In that moment, the fleets paused. A wave of astonishment passed through both species. Humans and Virel, fighting side by side, had struck down a seemingly invincible enemy. A test of trust, but victory came at a cost. The flagship shook violently as enemy torpedoes hit the hull. Fires erupted. Systems failed. Arya and Savara were thrown across the command deck. "You okay?" Arya shouted, pulling herself up. Savara's scales were scorched, but she nodded. "I am. And you?" "Still breathing," Arya replied, checking the displays. "But we need to coordinate. The fleet is scattered." The two leaders made a quick decision: split the fleet into smaller units, each under a combined human and Virel command. Arya led a strike team to flank the main Galtharian force, while Savara held the center, drawing the enemy into their trap. During the battle, Arya noticed a flash of movement, a wounded Virel soldier about to be hit by enemy fire. Without hesitation, she piloted her fighter into the path, shielding him from destruction. Nearby, Savara's ship fired precise beams, clearing the area. The soldier survived, and in that moment, Arya realized the true meaning of trust, risking everything for another life. Victory through unity. Hours passed. The Galtharian fleet was massive, but their cohesion faltered under the combined human and Virel tactics. Arya and Savara's leadership inspired the soldiers. Pilots who had once doubted each other now fought in seamless harmony. By the end of the day, the Galtharian retreated. Their ships limped away, leaving scorched trails across the stars. Humanity had survived. The Virel Empire had survived. And more importantly, a fragile alliance had been forged, stronger than any weapon. The flagship floated among the debris of battle. Arya and Savara stood together on the command deck, looking at the stars that had once seemed so far and cold. "You changed them," Arya said softly. "Your people, and maybe even yourself." Savara's golden eyes met hers, warm and proud. "And you, human, changed me. I have always worn my scars like a warning. Today I see them as a story, one of survival, strength, and hope." Arya smiled. "Then let's tell that story together." The scars that bind. In the weeks that followed, peace talks began across the Virel Empire. The High Council was weakened, but no longer hostile. Queen Savara's people began to see her differently, not as a ruler who ruled with fear, but as one who could inspire respect. Arya worked with her, teaching the Virel how to integrate human strategies, not for war but for defense and survival. In turn, she learned the history of the scars each Virel bore, reminders of battles survived, friends lost, and enemies defeated. In the quiet moments, Savara would show Arya her scars. And every time, Arya would press a gentle kiss to them, not as a conquest but as a sign of understanding, of shared pain and shared courage. The people began to whisper again, this time in awe, not mockery. The human and the queen, the scars they honor, the unity they inspire. And across the galaxy, distant stars seemed a little brighter, reflecting the light of hope that even the smallest acts, a kiss, a word of respect, a shared moment of bravery, could create. The legacy begins years later. When the fleets were rebuilt and alliances strengthened, the story of that day became legend, not of conquest, not of domination, but of courage. A human and an alien queen, two beings from opposite worlds, had stood together, showing their people that pain was not shame, that scars were not weakness, and that unity could triumph over even the greatest darkness. Arya Cole returned to Earth with honor, but she never forgot Savara's words. And Queen Savara ruled with a new wisdom, one forged in battle, tempered by empathy, and sealed with the courage of a human who dared to step forward when no one else would. In the end, it was not weapons or fleets that saved them. It was the strength of the human spirit, the courage to honor scars, and the belief that even in pain, one could rise, and inspire others to rise as well. The galaxy remembered that lesson, and it would never forget.